In today's session, Unlock Your Potential from FITT Diploma to CITP Designation. It's a virtual info session. We will be sharing insights with you on the value of the Certified International Trade Professional designation, as well as take you through the steps to becoming certified. So today's panelists are Leah Sanford, CITP, and I will provide more of an intro to follow. Silvia Baptista, FITT's Vice President, and myself, Lora Rigutto. I'm a CITP, and I am the Partnerships and Community Lead here at FITT. So I invite you to drop your questions in the Q&A box throughout this 30-minute session. Yes, I said 30 minutes, so we're going to be very efficient here, and we will answer your questions at the end of the session. Please feel free to use the chat box. Oh, yes, I see someone that's just introduced themselves. That's exactly what we would like to happen. Introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about either where you're dialing in from, what you're expecting from today. So feel free to use the chat as much as you'd like. And perhaps tell us a little bit about your current role, the organization you represent. And again, wherever you're dialing in from, we welcome you. So just a little bit of an overview today of the CITP community. The designation itself is over 25 years old. It was launched in 1998. And so for the past 25 plus years, FITT has certified over 1,800 trade professionals. Some of these professionals have had 3 years of international trade experience, and some have had over 30 years or a working lifetime of experience. So CITPs are represented in over 50 countries around the world, both in the public and private sectors, from micro to SMEs to large industry. Various sectors are represented, from manufacturing to third-party logistics to business consulting, just to name a few. So for inspiration, we do invite you, you may not be aware, but we have some CITP spotlights in Trade Ready. Trade Ready, just to remind you, is our blog for international trade professionals, international trade experts. And one of those spotlights is that of our guest speaker for today. So Leah Sanford, there you are. Leah is a CITP and a 20-year veteran of marketing and communications. Leah is the president and co-owner of Kelford Inc., a boutique marketing firm based in Halifax, Nova Scotia. She spends her working days helping established and aspiring entrepreneurs find their voice, fuel their passion, and connect with their ideal customers around the globe. With her signature style of joyful work, and you will see that as she speaks, Leah helps her clients make marketing decisions more easily, allocate resources more efficiently, and cut through the chaos while staying true to their entrepreneurial and business goals. And within the last couple of years, Leah has shared her experiences and expertise teaching a variety of FITT skills courses in Nova Scotia through Invest Nova Scotia, and I think onto other things as well. So welcome, Leah, and thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks, Laura.
Yeah, thank you for being here. I just wanted to get started by asking you if you can just tell us a little bit about your journey.
Oh, she's a fun one. So yeah, you heard the punchline of how it ends. Now I get to teach FITT skills courses, which is so much fun, and such a cool way to experience trade from a completely different lens than kind of regular day practice. It gets to be in a place of very much first principles and structure where everything goes right. So I started off on this. It's wild to hear a biography state that I've been doing this for 20 years. I know I wrote that biography, and I know I've been doing this for 20 years, but it feels wild because the trade component to it came in later in my career. It's been about 5 years now that I've been really digging into the international trade space. Before that, it was there. It happened as part of consulting, a part of communications and marketing, and the work that I've been doing. But it was discovering FITT skills at the very beginning of the pandemic, actually, when I had suddenly an awful lot of time on my hands, came across a FITT skills course and devoured it. It opened up a universe that I didn't know was there, but was like right behind a thin layer of the rest of the world that I work within. So as a marketer, seeing how products are consumed and valued and chosen by customers wherever they are in their lives or the world, I hadn't ever really stopped to look at what happens getting that product to that person. I always got to play in the really fun space of what happens once we have the product and I want it to end up in someone's very specific hands. And so this trade universe opened up how we actually have a flow of goods, how services actually move about. And once that kind of curtain is pulled back and you see this universe of professionals and logistics and finance and complexity and challenges and creative solutions coming to it, that any of us get anything at any point in the day, that store shelves ever have something on them, is a miracle. And it is the dedication of trade professionals that make any of this work. And I fell in love with the content and the practice, and I have loved every step of the chaos and complexity of the world around me as I adapt and adopt it into my professional practice, and just how much more of a savvy consumer at the end of the day it has also made me. Yeah.
Fascinating. That's great. I love that. I love your passion too. It is a fascinating world, and I think for the our FITT diploma holders, like there's got to be something in our body of knowledge that you found super intriguing and captivating. And I know I devoured the courses as well, even those courses where I didn't really know about, I don't know, transportation methods and full less than container
not
load.
something I spend every day in,
because it was a gap. So yeah. So then
it's really cool. It answers the question of I didn't know what I didn't know. And it's like FITT skills courses and this trade world fill that gap. And even in kind of having completed all the classes, having been so thrilled to earn my CITP designation, now being part of that community of practice, having the quite frankly, as you put it, the 1,800 global practitioners that are out there. There's no way to know everything about trade all of the time. It would be physically impossible to kind of hold all of that in your head, but to have this body of practitioners out there who do understand the nuances of subject matter expertise that you can turn to. I think that's the kind of the secret gold star benefit of being part of this and having that CITP designation is getting to be an active part of that community, contribute my own side of things, but be able to draw from that expertise and these wonderful practitioners around the world as well.
Right. So if I can ask you, Leah, so you did that training, you said you devoured it. So what made you, so you could have just stopped at the diploma. So what was the motivation for actually becoming a CITP?
I think I've had a couple different ways of thinking about this, and I've kind of noodled back and forth. And part of it is personal drive. I'm a completionist. I can't stop it. We can't stop now. We've come too far. And you've heard my kind of marathon analogy of that's what this is. And I have an expression in our business that if you can't see the goal, what you do is set a pace. And when it comes to being an international trade practitioner, you never, like, there's no end state. There's no point where I stop and say, I know everything I need to know and I'm done learning now. I can just practice. And so I like to think of this as a place of setting a pace. And every day I get to practice it. Every day I get a new piece of insight. Every day I come across a new challenge, a new curveball the trade market has decided to throw us, and a new solution needs to be created. I either get to come up with that for my book of business and my clients, or I get to turn to my wonderful community of practice. But the cool part for me has been I've been doing marketing and communications for 20 years now. I know my trade very well. Going through these courses and moving very specifically from diploma into the full certification, it showed me that I still have the capacity and the ability to learn hard new things and kind of stretch my brain in a really satisfying kind of way, in a professionally rewarding, but in a personally rewarding way too. I love to absorb new things from the world around me and that insight, but this showed me this old gal still has a few tricks up her sleeve. And so it was a cool personal motivation to move through that. Some people like to do, yourself included, love to run marathons. Goodness no, this old body can't do that. But I can put more knowledge in my head. And that for me is the fun challenge to it. So getting to diploma, moving to CITP was going to be a thing that I was absolutely going to challenge myself on because I was curious. The reward of that has been awesome, though. I'm so glad I did it. It's not just a personal accomplishment. It's fueled our business as well, which has been wonderful.
Wow. Can we touch on that a little
We
bit? So having said that, so you said it's fueled your business.
Mm-hmm.
So what do you see the value of the designation is for your business and like your future, your future professional journey?
I think my insurance brokers really like that I have qualifications that are demonstrable because marketing certainly isn't. It's not a regulated field. So when I said I have a certification from a governing body, they were really happy to see that. So that's one side of things. But the partnerships this has opened up for us has been really cool and really rewarding. So now being much more involved with CIC, the Canadian International Council, I think is what they're called. I should know as a member. But that has opened it. They're wonderful. CIC, it's easier to say. They're a wonderful organization, kind of that space where FITT members tend to gather in my city in particular, in Halifax. And that has led to cool new consulting opportunities. I've got a group, there's a trifecta of us now doing like an international trade adventure is kind of how I'm going to call this, of seeing how our overlapping services, 3 service businesses, our overlapping services really line up to an international market entry strategy where we each pull the best of our skills and expertise together, but together we can create a one-stop solution for clients. That's been really cool. Getting to work with government organizations and having that credibility, having that knowledge base to start at a much higher as well as deeper conversation when it comes to what does it mean to export? Everyone's asking that question right now. What does it mean to export? What does it mean to export between provinces with interprovincial trade barriers coming down? What does it mean to enter new markets now that the American market has shifted so fundamentally under our feet? Some businesses are hearing about CUSMA for the first time. Some businesses are learning that there's trade agreements around the world for the first time, and that it's not as hard to get into some of these places as it might have felt before. And so having the CITP designation, having these connections in the community, I'm just more active in more interesting conversations, being pulled in for insights and kind of brainstorms about, do you think we could do this? Do we know who the experts we could draw on are? And it helps feel, as much as it helps in the business itself and the practical consulting work we do. It also feels like I'm able to give back to my business community at a local stage, but my business community on a national stage, and helping really cool Nova Scotia businesses, maritime businesses, and Canadian businesses find those new markets and successfully enter and make a difference, both for their bottom line, their revenue lines, their projections, their profit margins, but for their customers too. And it's just helping people connect. It's what I've always been doing. And now I get to add this sophistication layer of international trade practice to it, whether that's through finance, logistics, value chains, market entry strategies, all of these pieces coming together. It's a language that has been opened up to us. A new business language, which is so helpful to have.
Love that. Love that. I'm looking at the time here, and before I pass the stage over to Silvia, do you have, just quickly, rapid fire, just what would you say to our audience today, the diploma holders? Do you have any words of wisdom or recommendation to them?
Oh my good, like, congratulations for getting this far. You've got a FITT diploma is awesome. Absolutely awesome. High five to you, my friend. I love to see it. And like, congratulations on getting through that. These courses are hard to do. The tests are not joking around. Keep going. Do not stop. You can stop. Sure. You've got the diploma. That's wonderful. Don't though. Don't. There's like a couple more courses and then this CITP designation, and the PIP is lovely. Their certificate is lovely. But the community that comes with that is the really cool part of it. And the opportunities, just even seeing the different jobs. It is awful out there in a job market. CITP designation is a difference. And cool opportunities and credibility come with that. And in a world where we're not sure about everything and anything and credentials and certifications and abilities, the CITP means something. And to be able to hold that and know that you earned that, you're halfway there if you got the diploma. Get over that finish line. You deserve it. You put the hard work in. It's no harder to finish. It was actually the hard part was getting started. So go for it. You deserve that. Join the club. It's super fun over here.
Love that. Love that. Love that. Okay. I think this is a really good time because I think you mentioned something that may not be the truth for the diploma holders. You are much closer than you think to the designation, provided you have the experience, but I will let that come from Silvia and not myself. So I'm going to close my camera. You take it away, Silvia. Over to you.
Okay, just bear with me here while I share my screen. Hopefully you can all see my presentation, so I can't see anyone anymore. Okay, great. Thank you. Thank you, Laura. Okay, so thank you, Laura and Leah, for inviting me to speak today. As part of this presentation, I'm going to review the pathway to the CITP designation for FITT Diploma holders specifically, and the key points to help you prepare for your application. So let's get started. So this slide provides an overview of the eligibility requirements to earn the CITP designation for individuals that have specifically achieved the FITT Diploma in International Trade. So you're invited to participate today because you have achieved a diploma, or perhaps someone shared the link to register for the webinar with you, and you may not have quite achieved the FITT Diploma, which is okay as well. But if you have achieved the FITT Diploma, congratulations. For those who haven't achieved the FITT Diploma and are curious about any other pathways to getting to the CITP designation, we have 5 pathways in total. And you can see the detailed information for each pathway on our website. But in a nutshell, the first pathway, of course, is a FITT Diploma holders pathway, which I'm going to walk you through in the next minute. The other pathways that we have available are for individuals that have achieved or completed other educational programs in international trade from institutions or organizations that are not necessarily affiliated with FITT. So there is an opportunity still to potentially earn the CITP designation and have that training recognized by FITT. We also have a pathway for specialized credential holders, a pathway for individuals who have experienced, over 10 years of experience at the executive level, all related to the 15 competency categories for the CITP designation. So very high level experienced executives. And then the final pathway that we have is what we call the CITP exam pathway. So if you don't have the FITT Diploma, you haven't completed other international business training programs from other institutions, if you haven't completed a pre-approved specialized credential recognized by FITT, and you don't have executive experience in international trade that meets the minimum requirements to earn the designation, there's still a pathway that you can apply through, and that's the CITP exam pathway. For those individuals specifically, there's an additional examination that must be completed. But I'm not going to go into those pathways. The focus today, as we all know, is to go through the requirements for those that have earned the FITT Diploma in International Trade. So The first eligibility requirement is earning the FITT Diploma in International Trade. So if you have completed that, check. You can move on to the second step, which is completing a minimum of 3 years work experience, full-time work experience in international trade in a role that is related to one or more of the 15 CITP competency categories. The majority of your responsibilities in a specific role have to deal with supporting your company's importing or exporting activities. So if only 25% of your responsibilities are related to international trade, to supporting your company's importing and exporting activities, that's not enough. The majority of your responsibilities really have to be related to international trade. Another element that I want to highlight when it comes to experience is you may be in a trade advisory role as well. So we have a lot of individuals that work for banks, for example, that are advising clients when it comes to their import-export activities. Trade commissioners, they advise others on how to properly enter new markets, for example. So if you're in a role where you're advising clients that are exporting, importing, that counts as well. And also very important, I'm just thinking about the typical questions that we usually get. Your company, as I noted, could be, primarily involved in importing and exporting activities. But if your role does not support those activities, if you're not doing them yourself, that does not count. So it's not a matter of your company being involved in those activities. You specifically have to be doing, that has to be part of your day-to-day job. So once you earn 3 years, a minimum of 3 years of full-time work experience requirement, then you can move over to starting your application. So we have an online application form that you complete through our website, and the one that you would complete is the one that is specific to those that have earned the FITT Diploma in International Trade. A few things to note is that there is additional information that you have to include with your application. You have to include a cover letter that summarizes your experience. You have to include a detailed CV that highlights your very detailed responsibilities related to international trade, and specifically to those that are covered in our CITP competency category profile. And you have to include 2 letters of reference. And those 2 letters of reference have to be from individuals that have worked with you. And they have to address 4 to 5 key questions within their letter. So once you have all of that information, you've compiled all of that information, you can go ahead and complete the online form, upload your documentation, and submit that to FITT. Once we receive the application, the assessment process is completed by FITT. We will carefully review all of the information that you've provided. If we have any questions, if we need more information, we'll definitely get in touch with you or with your references in order to clarify any of the information. And if your application is approved, you officially earn the CITP designation. Already covered some of this information in my previous slide, but just a few more tips based on what we see, based on the frequent questions that we receive from applicants. So when you're preparing your application, some other things to keep in mind. Your CV has to be clearly organized. So with underneath each employer, we need to see what your title was, the specific time frame for that employment opportunity, start and end dates. And we need you to include all of the activities related to international trade. Now, as you know, trade can happen domestically, but what FITT is assessing is international trade responsibilities. So you have to ensure that you are being very specific in your word choices, how you're wording things on your CV, so that it's very clear to the assessors at FITT that those responsibilities were specific to international trade. Regarding the 2-page cover letter on our website, we do have an example of a cover letter, and it provides a recommendation on how to organize your cover letter. So please do review that information. And we also have the reference policy that includes the questions that your references must cover in their reference letter. So that's also included on our website. So please do look at that information. And as I noted, the references must be from individuals that you've worked with. And of course, some individuals are self-employed, so we recognize that. So your clients can act as your references. So long as your clients have been working with you for a while, in regards to activities related to international trade, and they're able to answer the questions provided on the reference policy, they can certainly act as references for you. So once you're ready, simply submit your application online. And that was a fast presentation, but hopefully that answers some of your questions. I will stop sharing my screen now so that I can see everyone else and see if there's any questions that have come through. But I just wanted to note that I'm really looking forward to seeing your applications come through my desk for assessment, and to welcome you in the future as a CITP.
Wonderful. Thank you, Silvia.
Thank you.
So this concludes, very efficiently, this concludes our info session for today, but we have received some questions, and actually a really good one that I hope the three of us can answer, because we might have different advice for this individual. So Tiffany, can you, we're just going to launch a quick poll, if you don't mind, before we jump into the Q&A. Give everyone a minute to answer this two-poll question, or two-question poll. Okay, so I just, I will jump into the questions. Sorry, I minimized the poll, and now I don't know if it's ended. Tiffany, I don't know if you can end it, but okay, the first question we received, and I love this question. Thank you for asking it, Aisha. I hope I'm pronouncing your name correctly. So Aisha is saying, as a recent graduate with a major in international business and a FITT diploma, what advice would you give for entering the job market? Are there any additional certifications or skills you would recommend to better position myself? So, great question. I have my own thoughts. Leah, did you want to take a stab at this one? If she's looking to land a job.
Yeah, I would say practice in particular. Practice your answers to imagine someone asked you the question, why is that relevant to the discussion? Like saying you have the CITP designation, awesome if the person understands what that is. But as you kind of mentioned in the second question you have here as well, about there just being a mixed level of understanding and awareness, and knowing in particular, HR pros might not know it as well as kind of the sales directors or operations directors. Being able to contextualize that and tell a story about what this means and how you've applied it. So it's one thing to have the knowledge, it's another to be able to apply it and demonstrate it. The more you can think of answers and kind of ways to create your own little anecdote of application, whether that's from the course material or a lived experience in practice, I think that's really helpful to be able to have, to say, that's a great question. Actually, I was working through this challenge and kind of this case study, and here's how I approach the challenge. Here's how I bring my trade lens to this problem or scenario, and what I think we could do with that. I think those kind of transition sentences can be really helpful to tee up that this is something and it sets you apart.
Great. Silvia, do you want me to go next? I would say, and because I taught for many years, so the students would ask me all the time. So one thing to position yourself. So if you get an interview, right? You may have to do some educating of the individual that's interviewing you, because it would be nice to know that everyone, every HR person is aware of the FITT Diploma in International Trade, or aware of the CITP designation. In some cases, for example, if you go into the manufacturing industry, I remember years ago in an interview, they said, "What is this on your resume?" And I said, "Well, I'm a certified international trade professional." "Well, what does that mean?" "It means," and so I was educating them, but I was using real life, examples for their manufacturing business. So I was showed them, I basically proved to them how valuable I would be. This was an area that they didn't even know existed, but I said, well, in the case if you were applying for government funding to export, and you would have to provide an international business plan. Well, how do you write your international business plan? Well, we have a course for that. And so every FITT graduate understands what's involved in creating an international business plan. So there's some education there, but to get that interview or to land that, to find out about job opportunities, I think it's just a lot of networking for one. And I always tell my students, if you don't have the experience in international trade, volunteer. Volunteer at a big trade show. I don't know where I think you mentioned you're in Ottawa, but volunteer at a big global business event, a business trade show. Here in Toronto, we have the largest mining convention in the world. It's PDAC. So I would always tell my students, volunteer. It's a 3-day show. The number of international delegates that you would meet, international companies, it's a way to understand the global landscape, and it's a way to get yourself out there. So volunteering at different events, volunteer through different boards of trade, chambers of commerce. It's often a way to start building that network. And also we have on our Trade Ready website, so tradeready.ca, we have a posting of jobs, and we highlight 2 jobs a week in our newsletter. So if you haven't subscribed to our newsletter, I recommend that you subscribe so that that newsletter lands in your inbox. And you can read through that, and you'll see that we do highlight 2 jobs that are looking for skills like from FITT Skills training. So those would be my recommendations.
Both great answers. If you don't mind, Laura, I'll just jump in here real quick. Both great answers, and I think it also addresses the additional question that Aisha entered into the Q&A box. Only thing I would add is that on our Trade Ready blog as well, and maybe Tiffany can include this in her post-webinar email, there is an article that we put together not too long ago that speaks to the value of the designation, but from the perspective of CITPs. So I would really encourage you to review that, because you can get some really good sound bites to help you communicate that value to potential employers as well. So Tiffany, if you don't mind, if you can include that as well, I think that would be beneficial for everyone.
Yeah, that's really good. And as well, the CITP spotlights that I mentioned at the beginning, and there is a spotlight on Leah. It's interesting just to hear from the words of the CITPs how valuable they feel and how much they feel that their skills have contributed to the success of the organization. And so it's always interesting to read those spotlights. Yes, so we did answer the second question as well, about how can I best highlight the value of these credentials. So I think we did a good job answering that. I don't see any other questions. So if you have any questions going forward, you can reach certification at FITT.ca. You'll receive a follow-up email from today's session, and you'll have the contact information if you'd like to reach out to us. We also have there's one in the chat regarding reference letters. Thank you. Tiffany. Let's see this chat. But I was also going to say about the certification cafe that Tiffany hosts every 2 weeks, twice a month. So you can get your questions answered in the certification cafe, and I'm sure that will be included in the follow-up email. So let me see this chat. Okay, Kazi, can you please clarify the requirement regarding the 2 reference letters? Specifically, who would be considered eligible to provide them? Past employers or professionals I have worked with in the international trade field? Great question, Kazi. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. So that could be current employers, current colleagues, past employers, and it could also be clients, as I mentioned. So clients that you worked with for a while that are able to answer the specific questions that are in the reference policy on our website. So hopefully you have a lot of options there. The other thing I want to note as well, because I don't think I mentioned it, there are a lot of applicants that have gained experience over the years through that qualify for the CITP through internship and volunteer opportunities. At the end of the day, we need to see that you've achieved a minimum of 3 years full-time work experience. And the timeframes are really important on your CV because we'll calculate everything together to ensure you've met the minimums. But that could also be through internship opportunities, volunteer opportunities, as well as full-time or part-time employment. So lots of ways to gather that experience, so long that as the majority of your responsibilities were related to international trade.
Great. Okay, I find Tiffany, unless I'm wrong, I don't see any more questions. But as I mentioned, we're always here, so you can always send us an email. Thank you everyone for attending today. And we look forward to welcoming you into this wonderful community. Thank you, Leah. Thank you so much for joining. And as always, Silvia, thank you very much for setting out the pathway and steps for everyone to follow. So have a wonderful rest of the day wherever you are. Take care, everyone.